Hello everyone, hope you are doing good. Uh, my name is Shubham, and from today onwards, we are going to start our series on one of the most underrated and interesting topics in cybersecurity, that is public key infrastructure. We call it as PKI as well. And today we are going to start with the basics of it. So let's get started. Okay, so first we will start with the what's the PKI and what is the purpose of it. Okay, so if I speak in the layman language, we can say that the PKI is a framework to secure the digital communications. When I say the framework, it means that whenever you use an application or whenever you try to access an application, be it an web application or a normal application which is installed on our systems, the channel uh, needs to be secure. Whenever we are accessing something, it needs to be secure so that our data will not be either altered, nor it should be modified, or it should not be stolen. So to secure that channel, we use an entity. We call it as an digital certificate or just the certificates, or we call it as SSL certificate or an TLS certificates. Everything narrow down to a uh, single object, I can say. So it's a certificate that secures our communication. So how it works, everything that will go in details in our coming lectures. Now what is the purpose? So as I said, like encrypts and authenticates the data transfer. Now I'll just give a simple example. If there is a site which needs to be accessed by some uh, authenticated peoples only, like suppose I am accessing a site and I needs to be authenticated before it. So if I have a digital certificate for my identity, then there won't be any need to put the credentials or use some other means to authenticate. We can just use our certificate that is assigned to us or that is issued for us, and it can authenticate that yes, this person is legitimate, and we can authenticate that this person can access the designated application or something. Authorization is a different part, that if I am authorized to access the application or not, but I am authenticated to do that. So what difference between authorization and authentication, that as well we will see in coming lectures. So now we'll go to the core concepts of or core components of PKI. So Uh, I have mentioned only five here, but there are more to it. But to get just the basic idea of what are the components of PKI, these are the five priority components, I can say, are mm, mostly or commonly used terms in the components of PKI. So first I'll say certificate authority, CAs. So these are typically used to issue and manage the certificates. When I say issue and manage, so whenever you are getting a certificate, that certificate is end user or leave certificate, and that needs to be issued by some some authority or uh, someone who is trusted or who is authorized to issue the certificate, and that is recognizable at the endpoint or at the end machine where we are going to use a certificate. So it's an hierarchy, like certificate authorities, like we have root certificate authority or issuing C authority or registration authorities like that. But yes, for the time being, we can just consider that yes, to get a certificate, we need certificate authorities at the back end who will issue our certificates, and either issuance or managing those certificate will be done from that certificate authority. Then if we go to the registration authority, now here the only task that registration authority do is to verify the users or verify the identities, that if this person is legitimate or not, to give that identity a certificate, give that user or machine the certificate. Okay, most of the times the certificate authority and registration authority is like issuing C authority. If I say, it will be the same as registration authority. So for the time being, just get to know the terms, not the details. And then we have the digital certificates. So digital certificate in the sense it's just the certificates like where our identity is bind to the public keys. Now, what are the public keys and private key we are going to see in the coming slides, but it will bind our identity to the certificate or to the public keys. Okay. Now, public and private keys. Okay. So what are the public and private keys? So these are the means for encryption, decryption, or secure communication between two identities that the backend who does that are the public and private keys. So what are those we are going to see now? And the last component will be the certificate revocation list. So what is this certification revocation list? If I say in the normal language or layman language, what is the CRL, certificate revocation list, then it will be the, we can say, a chart or list where the certificates which are not being used anymore, or the certificates which are being revoked, will be visible. So suppose I have issued a certificate for a site and I no longer use that site, or I don't want that certificate to be used anymore. Then I will revoke that certificate, or I will request the certificate authorities to revoke that certificate. And then once that is revoked, it will get listed in the certification revocation list. Okay, now what is the certificate revocation list? It will, whenever we are going to access a site, it will check that if the certificate is revoked or not. So if the certificate is revoked, it should not be used. Then we will not be able to access the site. So it is a precautionary measure, and this is the most underrated and most important topic in the components of PKI. So now I can understand that everything will be a bit too much to take right now, but once we are moving forward with our all the videos and lectures, I guess these concepts will get cleared pretty easily. So for the time being, just note this down that these are the core components of PKI. Now, as we discuss about encryption and keys, the entire PKI we can say revolves around the encryptions, and in that we have two types of encryptions. So asymmetric and symmetric encryption. Uh, I will just give an idea what asymmetric and symmetric is. Like asymmetric key encryption, it will use two different keys for encryption, like private and public key. So either we can encrypt the data using private key and decrypt it using public key, or vice versa. We can do anything. We can encrypt with any key and decrypt with the counterpart of that key. And then we have the symmetric key encryption. Here we use only single key for encryption and decryption. Like whatever keys you are using currently for encrypting the data, you will have to use the same key for the decryption of the data. Now, how PKI works? Okay, so key generation is a very specific term, if I say. So I can just say that we are generating a request to get a certificate. Okay, so how the request will look, what data it will contain, that is the bit advanced part. But for the time being, I can say that generating a request is the basic or the first thing that we need to do while getting a certificate. So you will give some details in the request that I need my certificate name to be something.com. It should be having another some values, and then you submit that request to the CAs. Okay, then CA will validate that yes, I have got this request, if the request is proper or not, if the domains are proper or not. If I am copying some other domains, the domain is identical to some other domain or what, that will be checked while at the CA end. And if everything is good and proper, then the certificate will be issued, and then that certificate can be installed on the machine or application to secure the data exchange. Now, as I mentioned, that digital certificates. Okay, so currently version 3 of the PKI certificates is being used, and we call them the X509 certificates. This is a standard currently used by I guess all the folks issuing the certificates, or we can say it's an industry standard for the time being, that X509 certificate. So we call our certificates as X509 certificates as well. Now, in the certificate, what are the details there? Okay, so currently I do have some certificates with me, but I'll not go deep into that because I guess it will be too much in the starting only. So I'll just give you the key fields. What will be there, like subject. Subject will be the name of your certificates, as we discussed, something.domain.com or example.domain.com. That will be the subject. So the site name or application name or the server name will be in the subject, whichever we are trying to access. Then comes the issuer. Issuer means who is the parent of that certificate, who issued that certificate for us. That data will be with the issuer. And now each certificate will have an unique identity by which we can identify it. Okay, so subject can be similar in multiple certificates. Issuer will be always same from if we are getting certificate from that particular CA, but serial number is an identity that will never repeat, not for any issuer. So your serial number will be unique in entire world and it cannot be copied or anything. So that's the uh, what we say major plus point, because we can identify the certificates based on the serial numbers and we can bifurcate or distribute them. Then comes the validity. Now, as we know, each and every certificate which is issued, it should be valid for some time. So validity depends on what type of certificates we are getting and everything. So usual validity will be 365 days for the current certificates. Now, what are the role of the certificate authorities, that as it is one of the core component of PKI. So what they do, as we discuss, it manages the certificates. All the actions on the certificates will be managed by the certificate authorities. Now examples here I have mentioned are DigiCert, LessonCrypt. These are public certificates or global certificate authorities which will be used, and those are common. That's the reason I have mentioned them here. Will be going to discuss a lot of other authorities as well when we are going further in this series. And then we have the trust model. This is a bit advanced, but I have just mentioned it here to get an understanding that this is also a role, one of the roles in the certificate authorities, that it is for digital trust networks. So it's like foundation of that. Okay. Then now major part, like why we are using it, what are the applications of PKI. Okay, so the most commonly used applications of PKI will be the site securing. So we know that HTTP is not secure, but when we are saying that HTTP yes, that means that yes stands for secure. So that means the site is secured with an active valid certificate. Okay, when we say active and valid, that like if you are using an invalid certificate or certificate which is expired, then HTTPS will not work. Okay, so that's the major application. Then we have email encryption as well. As we know, we if we are working in some business, or we are you are some you are working in corporate, you know that there will be a few mails or few data that you have to send to someone, but that data needs to be protected so that no one else can see that data and everything. That will be done using these certificates as well. Okay, so email encryption will be done uh, using the certificates. Then we have digital signatures. Digital signature you can see as it protects integrity, that you are writing something and you want to make sure that it will reach to the intended recipient with the confirmation that it is sent by you. So you will sign it digitally. That is also done with the certificates. And then VPN and secure access, that is also done with the certificate. So these are some applications, and we will uh, go ahead and get to know each and every one of them thoroughly in our coming sessions. Now, what will be the challenges and considerations for the PKI? So as we said, whenever we are requesting a certificate or whenever we need a certificate, we have to generate some some keys or some request and everything. So that key or that request will also have some data or some keys, I can say, that needs to be protected and stored securely. Because if our keys are getting compromised, or if our requests are getting compromised, then our certificate can be misused by some other folks. Okay, so the key management is one of the challenges. Then the certificate expiration, like as we said, like whenever we have an active certificate, it will have some validity and it will get expired after some time. So if the certificate is expired, we cannot use that anymore, and it will not secure the site because it's expired. It needs a renew. And if sometimes if our certificate is, if we say the certificate is getting used by someone else or certificate keys are compromised, then we have to revoke that certificate as well in the timely manner, because if we are not going to do that, then it can be misused again. Okay, so that certificate expiration and the revocation, that is also one of the challenges. And the trust chain. So as we know that certificate will be issued by some authority, okay, and then it will go to uh, then it will get issued after the authority validates our details and everything. So that issuing uh, issuing authority, that also needs to be trusted in our machine. Suppose I am getting certificate for my one of the server, then I have to install that certificate and the chain, trust of chain, in the sense this issuing CAs as well, or the CAs as well. Okay, so all those things we will discuss in with the examples and in more details, but not in today's lecture. Now what's the summary of this basics of PKI is our first session. So the key concepts, like why PKI is used, what is the need of PKI. So it will be like to secure the communication. In the most simplified terms, we can say PKI will be used to secure the communication between two identities. That's the I can say the simplest explanation of what PKI is. Then what are the critical components will be CAs. Without them, we cannot issue the certificates. Then there will be keys, which if which are important. If those are compromised, then we'll have a bit trouble of misuse of our certificates. Then yes, certificates is the most critical part of PKI, because that is the whole point. And then trust models. Okay, yeah, and now importance. So foundation of modern security. When I say foundation of modern security, a couple of years back it was not needed that much time, because not all the things were getting online, or not all the things were on cloud. But nowadays, if we say simple thing like anything that we are doing, we are doing it online, and we need that channel to be secured, and that needs to be done with PKI and the certificates. Okay, so this is very important concept, but it always runs at the back end, so we'll not have that much of idea about it, and it will be always the backend player who will be giving us the security and everything. Okay, so that player is the PKI, and we are going to learn all about it. So this is our only start, I can say. So it's our first lecture, and I hope it just gave you the summary of what actually PKI is, why it's needed. I know there will be concepts which were a bit hard, or a bit what we say illogical at this moment, but yes, we are in the coming lectures you will get to know what those things are, and those are pretty easy once you understand them. So if you like the video, just let me know in the comments, and if you have any issues, or if you want the PPTs, or if you have any other requests regarding the PKIs, just comment and let me know, and we'll try to do that. And I guess see you in the next lectures then. Bye bye.